The most important thing for the Seattle Seahawks this coming season is in the trenches. Offensive line and defensive line. Now, it can come off as cliche, but I don't know if that's exactly the correct scenario for every team in the NFL. I think in general, the right way to build a football team is to build from the inside out, the lines, with the exception of the quarterback, like pretty much inside out. Offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, we build outward. But with the Seahawks, I think there's a lot of pieces that just won't work unless the lines work. There are other teams in the NFL, obviously, that need this fix, and there's teams that have it and they're still not successful. You could have a phenomenal offensive line and a really bad quarterback or no weapons. You can have a great defensive line with awful corners and awful, linebackers, and your team's not going to be that good. But that's not the scenario I'm talking about with the Seahawks. I feel like the last couple years with Pete Carroll and the regime we've had is that we're always stuck with talent and having weapons, and that includes corner, linebacker, safety, receiver, running back, a decent quarterback in most scenarios. As long as Geno's been good, Russell Wilson had been decent at the same time. Now the question is, why did it not work in total? Well, a lot of times on both sides of the ball, the lines were awful. Russell Wilson dealt with a bad offensive line for the final 4 or 5 years of his Seahawks career. You've seen the defensive line not get pressure, being awful in the run game. I'm not saying everybody's been bad. I'm not saying every player positionally has been bad. I'm not saying that, Boye Mafe sucks because I thought the defensive line or, the edge rushers weren't good. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as a unit, we've had a lot of trouble stopping the run, getting pressure on quarterbacks, protecting our quarterback, pass blocking in many scenarios. And we saw that a lot, especially in later downs. Geno Smith was one of the most accurate quarterbacks and had a great time in first down. But as we got later into the downs and things started to change, the pressure was on Geno Smith last year. And we saw that with Russell Wilson a lot. So both sides of the ball, I think we are just in this very critical situation where what's going to matter is how's the health of these guys and how are they developing, right? Let's look at both sides. Offensively, you need somebody like Abraham Lucas to be healthy this year. That's going to be a huge part of the success of the offensive line. If there's going to be success to it, we need health, obviously, and consistency. You're going to need your young guys, the rookies that are brought in, or guys from last year, even like Olusegun Oluwatumi, if he's going to be the center, whoever it is, or Nick Harris. I don't care who the center is going to be as of right now. I'm just saying there's a lot of moving pieces from the draft, from guys we're waiting to develop. Not waiting to develop necessarily, but Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas, they're getting on that third year now, I think it is, and it's time to hopefully get a full year of health, a full year of production, and see what, the full picture of these guys are. And while adding the guys we got last year, guys that we got this year, we have to mix in, obviously. I don't know if he's going to be any good, but like Laken Tomlinson and all these other pieces, we have to mix them in. But that consistency of the offensive line is going to be a huge part of either failure or success. And I think it's pretty simple. I think Geno Smith's a good quarterback in the NFL. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's Patrick Mahomes. Okay? And if anybody argues that, it's just ridiculous. That'd be a ridiculous argument because I'm not even saying anything offensive. I think Geno Smith has completely revitalized his career. I think he's completely earned the starting job. I think he's completely earned being the quarterback of the Seahawks. He was better than Russell Wilson post-Russell Wilson era. It was an absolute shock and absolute pleasure, though, at the same time that he was able to find a way to go from a perennial backup who was supposed to be a guy, he was supposed to be that dude out of college. He was supposed to be one of those RG3s and, Justin Fields and all these like the Heisman candidate, Heisman Trophy winner type of dudes that are like supposed to have a really good shot. He didn't get a good fair share playing for teams like the Jets, especially. But then he got his fair share and he's good. But what would be something that hinders Geno Smith from actually being good for a full season? I think it's simple. It's a bad offensive line. He has the weapons. I promise you he's not complaining about having Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Noah Fant, Pharaoh Brown, or having Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker in the backfield. I promise that's not the problem. When Geno is given a more protective offensive line, even in 2022. Now, that season might have been a little bit of an outlier. Maybe you're not going to see that Geno Smith every year in his career, especially he's aging. But he had a little more protection that year, and he was able to actually find a way to be very successful. So, in that case, what is the biggest hindrance, like I said? Offensive line not being good. If it's good, he'll be all right. And the same kind of goes for the defense. Obviously, a little different scenario because you're not protecting a quarterback. But in that scenario, if you are trying to get pressure on a quarterback, if you're trying to guard receivers, if you're trying to stop the run, everything has to work as a unit. And if it's not working as a unit, then it's not working at all. And we've seen that. We've seen what happens even if you have Devin Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen and Trey Brown and whoever the hell you want to add, Michael Jackson and whoever you want to add to the corners. If the quarterback has 5, 6, 7 seconds and there's no pressure, guess what's going to happen? Eventually they're going to get open and something's going to happen. If there's no pressure in the run defense, you know what's going to happen? Running backs are going to start having to go one-on-one against linebackers and breaking loose. Here's another if your corners suck, and they don't give enough time to your defensive line, it obviously stops the defensive line from bringing pressure. So it obviously is a little different than the quarterback scenario where it's one piece that we're really like protecting the most. But it's a cohesive unit. But at the end of the day, the trenches is where we've been slacking the most. We know we'll be okay at safety. I'm not 100 of Jenkins and Love and the pieces we brought in. It's going to be probably just as good as last year's. We'll be fine at linebacker if everyone's healthy. Fine. I don't know if we'll be great, but we'll be fine. We're obviously great at corner. The defensive line needs to show up. I mean, just in general, some pieces, edge, that I want to see. Obviously, you need Byron Murphy to have a great year. Jaron Reed's is restructured. He's staying around. That's going to be a big piece. Boye Mafe and Uchenna Nwasu and Byron Murphy. Those guys are like my biggest names that we need to see you get pressure inside on the quarterback, wherever it is, and make things happen. I'm hoping we can see a guy like Mike Morris as well. From last year, Michigan guy, Mike McDonald probably likes him. I mean, he was at like his press conference, gave him a hug like that first day he walked into Seattle. So I know that they have a relationship of some sort. These pieces are all very important. Get pressure on the quarterback, make things tougher on the quarterback, and make things interesting. And I think the Seahawks will have a very good chance of having a solid defense. And the same goes on the other side with the offense. Make sure if you want to support SeattleOnTap.com, we got all our merch there. We got Seahawks stuff, Mariner stuff, just Seattle stuff in general. SeattleOnTap.com. Any support means the world to me. And all of our channels are in the link to the description. Our Seahawks podcast channel, our Mariners one, all of them. So please check those out to support. It would mean the world to me. At the end of the day, where do you think the Seahawks situation stands with the Lions? Do you think offense is going to be the most improved? Defense? Where are you hoping, and what do you think is going to happen? My biggest thought is I think the defensive line is definitely going to be enhanced and better because of the Byron Murphy pickup, but I don't necessarily know if that means they are actually going to be the best one. Like, I know it's going to be improved a lot, but I don't know how. I don't know if it's more than the offensive line, because the offensive line's health could also make it one of the most improved. But I want to know, what are your thoughts in the comments? Let me know, and I'll be back more often. I think I'm just going to come on and do a little more Seahawks rants, Seahawks talks, even a car talk when I'm traveling on vacation for fun. So let me know what you think, and let me know what you want to hear about next. I love y'all. Peace.